What's good, YouTube? Hope y'all are doing well. Hope you guys are feeling blessed out there. We are back with another video. Man, it has been something. I've had a ton of ideas and uploads that were right at the crux of being able to get uploaded, and then I forget that there's audio or music that's playing in the background, whether at the gym or some sort of activity that I'm doing, and I'm like, man, it's a 10-15 minute video. It takes a while to save and edit through CapCut, and then when I try to put it out, it takes another 10 minutes sometimes just to get the upload to YouTube, and then I see a copyright or I see that I can't use it for some odd reason. So those have been a little bit of the hiccups. But for this video, at least, there won't be any background noise. Only audio will be my voice. Today's topic is going to be based on something that we've once again talked about. I feel like there's always a reoccurring thing with that. But I want to dive a little bit deeper into exploration. This can, the shoe can fit for an adult. It also definitely can fit for a child or even a teenager or whatever the case is. So with exploration of movement, especially in the past week or two, and just taking a step back to reflect and just being appreciative and grateful of all the movement and things that I could do, and it's just a liberating feeling. The thought or topic of conversation that comes up often, and I remember having this conversation with training in person with a lot of parents with their kids, and seeing it in real time and seeing like, okay, so and so's son is really good at this one sport and they're like 11 years old. And the thought process is very common for a lot of people is, I'm going to keep him playing this one sport and he's going to play all the way till high school or college, and like that's going to really get him good because he won't have any other distractions. He won't be looking in any other direction. He's just going to play that one sport. What the other element or the other side of that is the lack of exploration, not only just from a physical standpoint, like you're not getting to work different planes of motion, different lines of motion, and things of that regard, but even proprioception, coordination, still tacking on to the physical things, you're limited by when you're only playing that one sport. You're playing at one speed. Even if you have the ability to stop and start fairly well, you're only playing in the confines of that sport that you're being asked to do. When you're playing multiple sports, you have a different lens of stopping and starting, cutting left to right, cutting forward and back, sprinting, jogging, like rotating, a lot of torque in different regions and joints and muscles and things of that nature. So that's more on the athletic side for, somebody that's a child or a teenager. And I say that to say, sticking to that point, put them in as much as they can that their body can tolerate and that they can recover from, because it's only going to give them an advantage. If you think about all the elite athletes or the people that even made it to higher levels, mind you, Division 3 and Division 2 is still a higher level, so don't discredit it to think that it's some below inferior league. I know people in baseball and in basketball that played at those quote unquote lower levels, and they're definitely a professional athlete, whether they played in the actual professional league or the top league, or they played in leagues that were right below it in Europe and things of that nature. So never discredit that, but it's only going to give them an advantage as far as seeing just different planes of motion, experiencing different contact in different sports, having the footwork that may be necessary of one sport and it helps in another sport. Also, just from a social standpoint, more connections, different people, different rooms, get their name out there. So I definitely always recommend exploring in that regard. Like I said, it's so often that you hear like, oh, Jimmy is great at basketball. I only want to keep him playing basketball. And it's like, well, imagine his footwork if you let him play soccer when he was younger. Or imagine the hand-eye coordination that they'd have if they played baseball, and intertwining all those things. And he was a catcher. Like, think about that. It's got to be able to pick the ball in different directions. It's got to be able to squat quickly, different positions. And maybe that helps him guard in basketball and get in a low stance. You know what I'm saying? You're not sometimes in that frame of mind until you take a step back to reflect like, oh yeah, I should look at it in that regard. And the same goes for an adult. Sometimes we do one style of training, or we only do that one sport when we were a kid, and then we get back to it and we think that's the only thing that'll bring that sense of joy or happiness. And it's like, there's so many other ways to go about it. As we get older, I believe it's definitely more of a social aspect to it. Like, hey, I get to see this friend, or I get to maybe move and be with this family member once a week that if I wasn't playing this sport, I wouldn't see them otherwise. little things like that. I mean, for me personally, it never ever involves alcohol or drinks, but for some people, from a social standpoint, that's a part of it as well. It's like, oh, okay, I get to be out the house, I get to mingle, I get to whatever the case is. But exploring just opens your horizons, and you start to realize that there's so much more out there and more in front of you that can just be conducive for everything. It can be therapeutic for you. It can be really cool to get out of whatever you are only solely doing if you are moving your body on a regular basis, and give you a certain stimulus and frequency that you haven't been getting. And that could be really good. It can be very light, it can be conversational, but just giving your body that variety can be really, really helpful. So just wanted to kind of paint that visual or that picture. I think it's something that needs to be discussed and talked about, definitely from adolescent to an adult, to never stop exploring, continue to learn, continue to put yourself in these different situations and different scenarios, because that's going to give you more autonomy. You're going to be able to, not only from like a social and psychological, but back to even the physical, like more autonomy, more ability to problem solve in real time, especially with your body. It's one thing to make a cut or to dip and then pop back up. It's another to do it when you're rotating or you're doing like a 180-degree hop into it. You know, your body is not going to innately know that for a majority of people early on, but getting acclimated and getting immersed in multiple realms is what's going to help you be able to have more at your disposal and more in your toolbox. And I think that's the cooler element to it, because you never know when it could pop up. And even in the last video, I mentioned how cool it is to know that maybe I don't do them every single day or, you know, once a week for all the activities and things that I enjoy. But it really is nice to have that in my toolbox, to be able to say, hey, like if a friend called or, you know, was in need of a teammate or wanted to play and learn, or that camaraderie that's built from just a nice session and we're sweating and doing those things, is cool to just be able to know like that is in my back pocket. Now, obviously be sensible about it. If you're playing like 6 different sports and you play them all year round, that may be too much volume on the body and it's going to eventually catch up. Maybe it doesn't catch up for a teenager because their recovery is a bit better, but as they get closer and closer to the end of their teenage years, into their 20s and 30s, it's hard to really maintain that frequency or that level of intensity. So be logical, be sensible about it. You definitely want to give it a try. You never know the amount of joy and fun that can come of it. You don't know the connections that can come of it. I have friends that are still in my life from elementary school, just from being able to, you know, move and play certain sports and exploring and giving myself that exposure that I could have maybe been guarded or hidden from me. And yeah, I think it's just gonna lend and lead to just more fun, more discovery, more just wanting to learn and apply, and that transfers into other areas of your life. I promise you it does. So that's the message of this video. Like, comment, subscribe. Let me know in the comments if that resonated with you, if you have any questions, comments regarding the topic, and if you have any other video ideas that you're looking to see. That's all I got. Till next time, peace.